board here. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think I might have mentioned a little bit about myself in that email.
A little bit, and I checked out your Instagram feed and watched some of your dancing posts. I love your dancing. Those are my favorite.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you. I had a lot of fun doing
I
those,
love it.
and um, yeah, I appreciate you following me, and I follow your Instagram too, and was just really into what you're doing, and I helped with the applications this year again, and that's how I found out about you and a few of the other exhibitors that I decided I wanted to chat with for the public access show that I do. So
Great. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really excited.
yeah. Okay, so have you exhibited at the show and tell yet?
No, I think I'm on the last week, so I've got a little bit of time.
Okay.
So I've been like busy, like making more stuff. I'm like, I want to have this ready. I want to have this ready. So I've been every day really putting in a lot of time into making more zines and art. So I'll show you some of the projects I'm working on.
Yes. I think I saw this as your first time at SF Zine Fest too.
Yeah, last year was my first time even hearing about the Zine Fest. So, I went to the San Francisco one, and then my grandmother lives in San Antonio, so I went to that one as well. I want to go to as many as I can. They're pretty amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you exhibited at other Zine Fests though?
No, no, I just visited,
Visited.
to
Okay.
check them out. Yeah. I did my first zine when I was probably about 12 or 13 years old, but I didn't know it was a zine at the time. I just was into drawing and making little things. Like I'll show you, it was a little family yearbook I did with my cousin. And so we had like pictures of ourselves and our family, and we like wrote little silly things. And so, it wasn't until later that I'm like, oh my God, that was my first zine.
Yes.
And then I did a comic zine too when I was probably in my early 30s. It was about my husband and me, and just some of our friends. So again, this is all before I knew about zines.
Right.
That's my family. I was born in Nicaragua, so it's my mom and my grandmother and just some friends and stuff. So I started researching comics on the internet, and that's when I came across the term zines. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And as soon as I found it, the whole world opened up to me. I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing, and it's exactly what I want to be connected to and doing. So it was after that I went to the San Francisco Zine Festival, and then started making zines of my own. So I'm fairly new, like in terms of like really getting into it and doing it. I've been busy this last year creating a lot. So
Yes. That's funny. I feel like I have a similar experience as a kid, just
yeah.
making like little books out of paper, and drawing and like, wow, that was satire and that was a zine, even though I was like 8 years old, basically. Um, and I just love how accessible zine making can be. Like anyone, if you have access to materials, it can even be like recycled materials. Like you don't necessarily have to print things out in a computer
Yeah.
or printer, but the fact that you have this tangible thing in your hands and how it like represents your connections to your world, your loved ones, your community.
Totally, totally. Yeah, and then I started doing zines with other people, like groups of women, and it has a way of breaking down barriers and breaking down inhibitions. And when one person shares authentically, like some people might be like, oh, I'm going to share this is for me, and to hear people hear from the heart is really moving things. And then I've noticed that people get more inspired to share their stories as well. So I've seen it really have this power in a group to transform and heal, especially groups of women, and you work with women of color, and it's just been a very powerful thing to help them reclaim their identity and to be seen in a group environment, even with people who they thought knew them, or they thought they knew each other really well. You don't get to the depth of this level of storytelling without really taking the time to use visual and words, and just the combination of that creative expression. It's pretty powerful. I've been amazed at what it can do for people. So I'm
Yes,
into it. Yeah.
yes. I'm so glad that SF Zine Fest can be your first experience into zine festivals, and
Yeah.
that hopefully you still get to connect with other exhibitors too, maybe during the show and tell or something, because I know that's a huge part of the festival too.
Yeah, that's my plan. I want to join some of those and connect with people offline too, right? Like the people who there's a lot of resonance with. So I'll be exploring everybody really carefully to see who I want to reach out to and buy
Yeah,
some of their zines. Yeah.
nice. You know, I totally forgot to introduce you and ask your name and what pronouns you used and where you are based.
Sure. So my name is Stelli Munnis. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm based in Menlo Park, and which is in the Ramaytush Ohlone territory. I did some research to find out what the native name of the land is, so that was cool.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
And then you said your workspace, you can show it to us?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure. I
cool.
sent pictures too in case it's easier, but um, so I'll start with I'm sitting at my dining room table, which is the same as my art table. So you can see here
Yes.
that I'm into Copic markers, so I'm gradually adding to my collection, and this is kind of like where I do my drawing and my art. I'm working on this card deck of emotions, kind of like so people can express how they feel. So you can see some more of the emotions there. Can you
Wow.
see that?
Yeah. What size are they?
I'm gonna make it like a card deck, but probably maybe like a quarter page, or at least something that has those dimensions. So on the one side, it'll say "Today I feel," and then on the back will be all the range of emotions. I want to have 52 of them. I'm up to like 33, so that's what I've been working on this week. Trying to get those done.
Wow.
So I've got them spread all over my workstation. And then this is a little area where I don't know if you can see, but I've got zines there from my different, going to the different zine festivals.
Whoa.
I kind of keep them down there. And then my zines are up at the top. Um, and then I've been doing stickers. And then this is my other part of my workspace, one of those standing desks so I can kind of go up and down. And this is in our apartment. I mean, my husband and I share this one bedroom apartment. So you can see it, like I'm literally at the dining room table, the couch is in the middle, his workstation is over there, and then the kitchen, and he's in the bedroom right now watching a movie. So, we're doing what we can and quarantined or in these little spaces, but it works, somehow it works.
That
So,
is an awesome space. I also love that shelf. Did you make that?
you mean that colorful thing down
Yeah.
there? Which, no, actually a woman donated it. So I checked, there's this Portola Valley Forum. So my husband works in Portola Valley.
Oh yeah.
He's a pastor at a church there. And so you have access to a forum, and they give away things like crazy. I mean, they sell things too, but it's like, oh, this is available, this is available. So a woman was either going to sell it. It was from her toy, her kid's toy room. And I have a bunch more. They're in storage right now, and they stack up, and they're all different colors, and I probably have about 3 times that much. So I told her about our nonprofit and that, eventually we want to have a space. And I'm like, if you want to donate it, we'll use it for like zine supplies and to display zines and stuff like that. And she thought it was a great idea. So yeah, so that's where that came from. It was donated.
Nice. Yeah, that's really unique. So
Yeah,
haven't seen anything
yeah.
like that. And it's perfect for containing and displaying your zines.
Totally,
Yeah.
yeah. The where I have the zines, you can hang it on the side. Right now, I just have it kind of sitting up there, but you can attach it. When I have more space, I'll probably have it toward the side. But for now, I
Right.
just have it like that.
Wow.
Yeah, every little nook and cranny's got like something in it. But like I said, just making it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then stickers have been a lot of fun. So I draw these little images.
Oh,
Trickster.
oh,
So these are my latest, and this one's "You're Not the Boss of Me." So, and then this one, "Courage, Wisdom, and Strength." and my Zine,
Yes.
and then the Jaguar.
Oh,
I'm having fun, starting to make some different products like that. Um,
wow. I really am enjoying the themes coming up in your work. And I'm actually really curious about the emotion cards and like what's
yeah.
your intention of like who would you want? I mean, aside from probably everyone, but like, did you have anyone in mind when you made them or?
Yeah, well, starting with myself. So I've been going through different phases, and right now I'm in a phase of really exploring my emotions. I wake up with depression sometimes. I have anger. So it's like I'm really going into those feelings and writing about them, about the experience of it. And so, but I notice how my emotions fluctuate at different times, and I just feel like it's important to really be aware of what we're feeling. But I keep picturing as I'm drawing them, I keep picturing teens. I mean, anybody can use them, obviously, but teens a lot of times aren't asked how they feel, yet they have such a wide range of emotions and can feel bad and feel bad for feeling bad. So I want to do zine work with teens. I've done a little bit, but I want to do it more. And so, like when we sit down to work, that would be the first thing they would do. They'd each have a stack of an emotion deck, and they can put out face up however many emotions they're feeling. And then I want to have a card that says, that it's okay to talk to me right now, or I'd rather work in silence, so we can respect how they're feeling and their wish for silence. And then we'll have some blank ones. So if the emotion that they're feeling isn't represented, they can color it. But as I've mentioned the deck and shown it to different friends, they're like, "Oh my God, I need that!" So it's really for adults or anybody who needs it. But yeah, I'm picturing for some reason. How when you, or at least for me, when I'm writing or drawing, sometimes I can feel the audience that I'm doing it with, and I keep picturing sitting with teens, and it really being helpful to them. So, but yeah, so for myself, for teens, and then for anybody who needs it, to answer your question.
Do you work with teens?
Um, so through the nonprofit that I have, I started it a year ago, and the up until now, I've just been piloting programs. So I piloted it at a school in the East Bay, and it was just really powerful. It was mostly teens of color, a lot of Chicanx kids, and it was just really great. So I enjoyed this. I want to do more with teens, but I also have done programs, like I said, with women of color, elders, people at my husband's church. I've piloted different programs. So I'm pretty much open to anybody that wants to do this work, the work of storytelling, of exploring oneself, sharing. So a lot of the programs that I do are focused on that transformation and looking inward. And I feel like zines are a good way to sort of break the ice and get people used to reflecting and then sharing in a safe manner. So short answer is yes, even though I'm just now getting started. So I hope to do more as we get out of quarantine eventually, or out of the COVID period. I'd like to do more in person. Oh, and I did one at a homeless shelter that was amazing. And that was while we were sheltered. We just did it outside, and there was a small group. Um, super, super powerful, very intense what was coming up for people and what they were willing to share. I mean, they just like put it all out there.
Oh,
Um, one guy was like just bawling, and just really amazing work. So yeah.
wow. That sounds so powerful and healing, which is things that I value and
Yeah.
is integrated in my daily practices. So I really appreciate seeing the work that you're doing and how
Thanks,
you're bringing it
especially
to
now.
communities, especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like so many people that were like just holding it together, or they had an idea of what their life was. I feel like people are just completely like at the lowest low, and maybe they'll still go lower. I don't know, but it's like you have to go down to that place before you can rebuild again or envision what your life could be or should be or what you want to deal with. So a lot of people are just in that place of searching for like, okay, what now? What's next? Feeling all these intense emotions. What does it mean? How do I deal with it? So in some ways, I feel like there's a lot of receptivity. A lot of people are more open to searching and trying different things. So I think that that's really good. Kind of the silver lining in all of this is looking inward, you know?
Yes. We are really being forced to look inward, and these like distractions and whatnot. And I know myself as a former workaholic, and something I still have to be conscious of, really.
Mm.
Um, it's like, wow, always go, go, go. But now really having to look inward and reflect and see what's important to me. And um, I feel like a lot of folks are really looking inward right now. And with zines and with art making, I feel like um, that has been emerging more with folks. And especially, I love seeing folks getting creative who don't identify as an artist or, um, yeah, I love seeing folks like that just express themselves and have this safe container to be vulnerable, because I can relate to like holding things in. Everything's okay. It's fine. It's whatever. But it's like, it's
Yeah,
not. No, it's important. So,
it is
yeah.
totally, totally.
Yeah. Wow. Um, so before zines, did you have like an art practice before, like drawing and graphics and everything?
Not really. I realize now that I always was an artist and just went through a period where I thought I wasn't, like a lot of people, you know. We kind of learn along the way that I don't know where I picked up the idea, or so many people that say, "Oh, I can't draw." That, you know, I used to fall into that trap. I can't draw, and one day I just kind of felt like I have to do it. I didn't know why, but like I have to
Mm.
figure out how to draw, or you know, I mean, I did random things here and there, but never consistently. Never thought of myself as an artist. I sort of felt like, oh, that label's reserved for people who go to art school or who at least have been practicing enough to call themselves an artist. And I kind of decided, I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to like do this thing. And I think going to the Zine Festival was really what helped give me permission. You know, when I
Mm.
saw, I was really drawn to the artists that were very like real basic or childlike, you know, their scribbles and, you know, scribbles for hair, yet you can see it's hair. So it's like, well, wow, I can do that. Like I shouldn't be embarrassed or feel like I have to know more in order to just do it. So that's what got me started. I really feel like the zines and what I was exposed to gave me permission
Oh,
to reclaim that, you know, and that just felt, I mean, that alone was healing, you know, because I think we're all artists. It just might look a little different, but if we allow ourselves to get rid of that limitation, we find that we are artists. We're just visual people, and that's one way that we express. So I'm sorry, I forgot your question. Oh, so I guess just about a year ago, I started really seriously doing more with my art. And what I do honestly is like, I'll look at a reference picture. It's like, I don't know how to draw, you know, like an apple from, you know, memory. If I do, it comes out weird. So I just look at a picture on the web that's somewhat close to what I'm trying to do. And, you know, then at least I can draw it and erase it until it looks like an apple. So I realized that it's okay to have reference material and to just kind of copy what I see. And by doing that, it helped me. It's sort of like training wheels. And it's like, even now, when I go to draw a scene, I find little images online that are similar to the scene that I want, and that helps give me a reference point. And it's like just that's all that I needed was something to get me started like that. And then gradually, I feel like it's getting better and better. But I try to not judge it. You know, it's like inevitably when I do something, I mess some part of it up, and it's like, shit, do I redo it? No, leave it. Like that's part of the beauty of it. Just keep going. You know, so
yes, I love it.
it's an
Yeah,
interesting journey.
yeah, definitely a journey, definitely a process. And
Mm-hmm.
the permission piece really resonates with me. That's something that on like so many levels for me is I struggle to give myself permission. And what I
Mm-hmm.
love about zines and DIY and the public access show is I'm not waiting for someone or for the day when I'm really good at something, because I
Yeah.
have value right now. Like I don't need to be this prolific artist to like put my things out there. But like you were saying, yeah, that giving yourself that permission, that's already really healing.
Totally. And I found the same thing with poetry too. Like my grandmother's a poet and my husband's a writer, and there's the establishment, and it's like it's easy to again create that separation, like my stuff's not as good, or to get into that comparing. But then the more I read writing from people of color and indigenous people, it's like the writing was just so emotional and raw and visceral. It's like I can do that. Like so I just started looking at like my journal entries and turning those into poems because they were raw and visceral. And so then I just like started playing with line breaks, and it's like I don't need rules. I can just be intuitive about what sounds and feels right, and cut out words and massage it. And then I found that I really like my poetry. It's like again, kind of that process of just. But it took me reading other people who were breaking the rules first, or who had their own version of their own rules. It's interesting how sometimes we need that, right? Like we need mentors or someone to say that it's okay, to give us permission. I mean, I wish we didn't have to have that, but for me, I find that it's been really helpful, having those people whose work I admire, who is different than whatever the established norms are. So now I'm doing poetry too, which is cool. So I have one poetry zine that I'm happy with, and working on some new poems, which is fun for me.
Yes, that is really exciting to hear all the different offerings you have that can intersect with zines, or its own standalone offering. And I really want to read more of your zines and see more of what you're doing, like with the cards and everything.
I can send you a little packet if you'd like. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need your address, or maybe it's in the email, but just tell me where to send it, and I'd love to send you a little packet.
Thank
you. My work. Yeah, sure.
I work with young children, and we work a lot with social emotional literacy and our feelings. And honestly, that helped me with my feelings, because as a child growing up, like I did not grow up in an environment where being mad or sad was okay. And so I feel like only now as an adult, I'm really exploring the range of my emotions. And yeah, just I think that is a really valuable tool that you have with all the cards, and how helpful that could be for so many different people.
Yeah, that's interesting. In my upbringing too, with my mother, it wasn't okay for me to be angry or sad. I'll give you something to be sad about, was kind of the line. But at the same time, my aunts and my mother and my grandmother, they were very fiery and angry. It was like it was okay for them to express emotions, but not me. I'm like,
yeah,
what the hell? Now they're fine, but at the time, that was just kind of a weird disconnect.
That's so cool. That's showing up in your work.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, what would you want to see for the future of zines?
One thing that I was really interested was the voice of women, and women who like write about their life and are self-reflective. And so I like really long to get my hands on that type of work. One person who I feel like hits at a level that I really resonate with is A Disordered Mind zine. And she did a memoir zine that I thought was just amazing, how much she captured in a zine, right? Because some of them are so short that I'm like, wait, I want more. Like, what's the story here? Like, I just want to really understand and grasp a person's experience in life. So I want to like come across the work of women in particular that are doing that. And I like it in zine form. Like I love memoir, but a lot of memoirs, it's almost like it also feels like it's part of the establishment. It's like tries very hard to almost be like fiction in the way that they write it. I prefer a more raw, I don't know, just the way the language comes through and the authenticity comes through in zines. That unedited, unfiltered voice is what I really long for or crave. But I haven't come across many memoir zines, so I'd like more of those. And if they do exist, you know, because we're here, I don't know what's happening in, you know, Ontario or in the past. Like, I want some sort of like repository where I can like digitally like that something that's tagged really well, so I can easily find the category of interest that I have with zines. Like I know Duke University has, I think, over 5,000 zines by women, but it's
Wow.
really, but you have to go there physically in person to go through them. And I'd love to like somehow look online and to be able to say, okay, these are the ones I want to read, and then be able to read them digitally or order copies or something like that. So I feel like, I don't know how can we access without having to like travel someplace all these amazing voices and stories. So I'd love to see more done, and that probably is the work of librarians, right? To gather some of that and digitize some of the content, so we have a historical archive of the body of work that's out there that's really important. Um, that's one thing that I'd like. Kind of a tall order, but it's important,
So
I
more
think.
access to zines.
Yeah, more access to zines, and something that's tagging them really well, so that we can easily find the zines that are of interest to us. Um, yeah,
Have you been to the San Francisco Public Library zine collection?
I have not. It's probably pretty amazing, huh?
It was, yeah. And I don't know if they've digitized any of their zines, but I didn't even realize you could have a zine collection at the library. So I was already
Yeah.
just excited that there was a central location, which I know the San Francisco Zine Fest has been trying to figure out if there's a way people can visit the zine library that we have.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and the Internet Archive. Do you know the Internet Archive?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
checked that out a little bit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they offered to digitize this SF Zine Fest library, but then they would have to keep all the zines, and that's
What?
part of like
What?
accessible. I know, right? And then not everyone also has computer and internet, so like how can you make it, yeah, all around inclusively accessible? Um, and that sounds like something that you would want to see for the future of
Yeah.
zines. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested with Red Sulfur, the nonprofit that I started, to at least start. I want to have a zine archive of women telling their stories, and distributing them so people can buy them, and the creator gets, you know, the profit. But um, again, I'm really focused on that, the memoir and the personal experience, the retelling of people's lives and their self-reflectiveness about it. So I'm hoping to find some more people willing to do that work through zines. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do too many paper zines. Like when I send you my address, I can send you a few things that I've done, which is just, yeah, some poetry or
Mm.
it was when I was still really in the mindset of like working all the time's a good thing. And I made this whole zine about like work is pleasure too. And it does have a lot of my like personal history. And I guess, yeah, I do more per zines if anything.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to read your work.
You. I want to hear more about where can people find out more about your work, whether it's the Red Sulfur organization, the zines that you do. Where can folks find you?
Yeah, the best place right now, I'm putting all my work on the Red Sulfur website. So it's redsulphur.org/zines. And most of the work, all the work up there actually right now is mine, and we'll be adding more over time. And then the different makers will have, you know, their own tabs and their own pages. But for now, I've just been really busy putting my own stuff out there, so that people have, you know, a way to at least access my work. So that's probably the best place. And then on Instagram, you can follow me at Stelli Munnis also, or
Okay.
Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Everything I post on Facebook is public. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Is there anything else or like anything you want to share about like the work you do, the communities you're connected to, something that you would want more people to know about?
Let's see. So I shared the emotion. Maybe I can just share a few of the zines, like the different kinds that I have.
Sure.
Let me grab them real quick. So I did a series called the Knowledge series. So this is sort of like You can see on the back, Earth Manual for Humans. It's kind of like the stuff you wish people would have told you about life.
Ooh.
So, this one is 3 steps to discover your heart's desire. So it's kind of
Oh,
like really, yeah, like really things that, like I said,
yes.
exactly. How do you do that? So, you just have the different steps, like, how to identify what you truly want. There's the superficial wants and the deeper wants, and, practice self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and self-love. And it's got a little bit more depth there, but how to like plan and nurture seeds for the future. Because some of us are like working in jobs that we may not like, and we want to do something different to follow our heart, but you have to nurture it along the way and take little baby steps, and then eventually you do get there. You can't just wish it and not take action, even little steps. So this is a zine to help with that. Let's see. This one is 3 to 5 steps to discover your purpose. And purpose is another really big theme. A lot of times people think purpose has to do with, again, your what you do for work. But I believe that it's not what you can do anything for work. Purpose is really more about knowing who you are and really being that and living that and coming from that place. So this outlines, the different steps to get to know yourself and really live your purpose, live according to purpose. These are 5 steps to know God. So again, these are kind of like, they're fun little ways to go to handle really deep topics. So I had fun making them, and I try to make it to where it's not like, it has nothing to do with religion per se. It's more just really connecting to source and, spirit and the inner source of wisdom. And then this one is haunts, like how to, like make sure you deal with the things that haunt you, because the haunts will always be there. They like the tension in between people. There's always that pressure and that feeling that something is not quite being shared or dealt with. And make sure you love your haunts. So just little like helpful advice. And then of course there's the poetry zine that I mentioned, Crushed and Dirty Mangoes. So inside are mostly poems, and then in the middle is a little spread of some pictures that refer to some of the poems that I wrote. Then I've got this zine, Hello, my name is Stelli, because I have a unique name and people are always curious about it, and they want to know, of course, where you're from, which is like, okay, you want to know where I grew up, where I was born, all that kind of thing. Where it's those of us who are bicultural, right? We've got a complex identity of where we come from. So I just kind of answer those questions, and then I talk about my identity, going back to the land of my birth, and because I had cut off that part of myself, because I'm half white and half Nicaraguan, and growing up here, trying to mix in and be white, and then later crying and realizing that I had cut off that part of myself. And so this is the story of reclaiming that identity. And and who is Stelli? Like a lot of exploration about who am I, like I'm a trickster, I'm a tomboy, artist, writer, and photographer, healer, teacher, volcano in the ocean, and then a jaguar. So with these, my hope is that people really see themselves as more than just one thing, and inanimate things too, right? Especially anybody who comes from indigenous land knows that, yeah, we're part ocean, we're part fire, we're part water, we're part the land we come from, in addition to the animals, right? And then of course there's the things that are like the artist, the photographer, all those things as well. And then the last one, You're Not the Boss of Me, which is just about my leadership journey. So I had to do I went to a workshop, and we each had to talk about our leadership journey, and most people just spoke. And I don't like just speaking off the cuff, especially when I have to cover a lot of terrain. So I'm like, I'm just gonna make a zine, because then it'll make it more fun for me. And so I went through the different periods of my leadership journey, like when I was a kid and was like a tyrant, trying to tell people what to do and biting people in the playground. And then you mature and you learn how to like give people candy in exchange for doing what you want. So it just kind of, I started with the playground
Leadership skills.
all the way up to, being more of an empowered leader. So yeah, that's just a little taste of some of my zine work. And then the few I'm doing now, more of the emotions, like I said, the Today I Feel card deck, but then I'm writing about my anger, anger that I feel. So it says a woman's anger. So this is the cover, and I've just been kind of just like doing a little mock-up in the writing. I haven't created the zine yet, but this is how I work sometimes, just to see like what format will it fit in. So I have to refine the text, and then I can finish it. And then this one is one woman's, like a woman's depression, and then I scratched out a woman's, but my depression. This too shall pass, but when? So then I have some poetry that I'm gonna have in this zine. So those are the latest things that I'm working on. It's fun. I find it very healing, like we talked about earlier, doing this. So
Yes. This is incredible. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing all of
yeah,
your
of
work.
course.
Yeah.
And thank you for being a role model. And my next step is to learn to dance as freely as you can dance. So that's what I'm hoping for. And then in front of a camera, that would be a whole other level. But
I support you, and I'm here if you need any pointers or any guidance with that.
okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, Stelli, thank you so much. And um, yeah, I will be editing this together and putting this into that episode that's going to air September 27th. It premieres like at a late time, but there are reruns as well. So the episodes just will always air.
Okay.
And then you are welcome to, of course, have access to all this footage. I can send that to you. But yeah, I think everyone's been giving these really rich interviews. So my thought is I want to have like full length episodes where it's just like one or two of the exhibitors. But since it's Zine Fest month, I'm gonna like have very abridged versions in that
Sure.
episode, and then have more of a longer version. So.
All right, great. Well, I'm really excited to know you and to know your work. I'll be checking out more of what you're doing and following and keeping up with you. So thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yeah, thank you. I'll send you my address.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds great.
Okay. All right.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too, Stelli.
All
Okay.
right,
Bye.
bye.